welcome back to Sarah Loves. So today I'm going to show you how to make this amazing yoga mat bag with the gorgeous, if I say so myself, lovely little strap that I've designed there. Loving these little lined bits of quilting. It just gives that shoulder strap a little bit of extra padding with the quilting in there. So this is what we're going to make. It's got the drawstring opening at the top, and it's also got the lovely V opening just to make it easy to get your mat in there. So let's start. First thing that you need to do is get the two pieces of fabric out of the box, and one of them is slightly narrower than the other. So you're going to use the narrower piece to make the straps. So if you just fold the wider piece with the width as in with the pattern running the right way, fold the wider one right sides together and just fold it lengthways and then put it to the side. Now the other piece, which is the narrow one, again you need to fold it in half, and this time we're going to measure 50 centimeters and cut off the rest of it. So this is going to be surplus. And with the strip that you've got left, which is 50 centimeters long, you're now going to cut so it is 24 centimeters wide. So you just want to cut off that extra strip as well. So you are left with one piece of 24 by 50. Once you've got your 50 centimeter by 24 centimeter piece of fabric ready for the straps, what you want to do is hold it lengthways and fold it in half so that the wrong sides are together, and then just press this crease along there, and then you're going to open it out and fold the edges to that center line that we've just created. So can you see that on there? So we've got the centre line, you fold it in and then you just press that again. And then do the same on the other side. So this is very similar technique to how we've made our bias binding and straps in the past. And then what you will do then is to fold it over. But before we do that, this time you're going to get your fusible wadding and you're going to iron it in place. Now I like using up little scraps of wadding when I've got them. So mine wasn't quite long enough there. So I've just cut another little bit off. And then you pull this over and then press that in place. So this will glue the wadding to the strap, and you can press it on both sides because the glue will actually be on this side. But we are going to quilt the strap as well, just because it gives it a nice texture, looks quite nice little detail, but it also means that when you wash it in the machine it stays nice and in place. So the final thing is just to fold that last one over and sort of roll it slightly so that the edges are meeting. So we're just going to, when I'm pressing it, I'm just sort of slightly pushing it towards that meeting point there. Close the window because people are shouting. There we go. Right, so now you've got that. This is going to be our strap, so we now need to clip or pin down the edge, and then you're going to sew all the way down, top stitch all the way down that edge, and that will secure it. But then you're going to sew all the way down this edge as well. So to make that a little bit easier, just give it another press on this side, and then we're going to sew lines equal distance apart. So let's get a ruler and just measure. So it's 6 centimeters. so you can mark every centimetre, and once you start you can then use the next line as a guidance, so you can just do that so you know where you're going to start. If you want, you can keep doing a few more lines, and if you'd rather follow a line you can join them up, or I just use the stitch line as a guide as I go. So take that to the sewing machine and start by sewing this end closed, and just to get that nice neat finish there, just keep sort of rolling it towards that side so that they're nice and lined up, and then just clip that or pin it in place. Okay, don't worry about the open ends, those are fine. I'm using straight stitch of 2.5 on the stitch length, just back tack a bit at the start and then straight lines. Now I had a problem with my stitching when I made this one yesterday. It was really looping at the back, so all I did was I got the bobbin out and tightened the little screw that's on the bobbin case. It got better, and I had to go and tighten it a little bit more. So I don't know why it had started to get loose. I think maybe just use, or I'm wondering whether it's when I was sewing for the grease costumes, and I was sewing on a card table because it's all they had in the church hall, and it was bouncing all the time, my machine, and I think maybe it has just literally shaken it a little bit loose. But I tightened it up and that's all much better now. So this is how you want to do your first row, and that closes the strap, and then we're going to turn it over and just do the same. So similar positioning, just close to the edge, just to make it look nice and smart and that it matches. And then when we're quilting, just do the same stitch in lines all the way down. Little back tack at the end as well. Okay, like so. And then where you've made your marks along here, you can start from the centre and work your way out. So I'm going to go down that centre line, and just by eye I'm just going to line that up. I'm going to go back quite a fair bit this time, keeping it nice and straight. And then I'm just looking to see where my fabric's lined up when that is there, and I can see it lines up against that edge. There's nothing that this one is lined up against, just keeping that distance. So by eye, I'm just going to keep the left edge in line with that foot plate, and I'm using that as my guide. You might have something different on your machine, or you might rather draw the lines all the way down. It is literally just straightforward. And then once you've got that middle line, you can then do the ones on either side. So this time I'm going to line up with, I line up, let's see where I'm going to go, about there, back, and then this time it's lining up with this bit here, so I'm just going to try and stay on that course. So we're doing a little bit of quilting here. Doesn't have to be perfect, just nice straight lines. Okay, and then the last one here, I'm actually going to, I think, probably line this up with, so that the edge of the foot here just lines up with that row of stitching. feel that the strap feels stronger, firmer, and it looks quite pretty as well. So just carry on doing the same down the other lines there. Okay, so I've just finished sewing those, quilting the strap, and it does feel like a nice strong strap, and I just love the effect that it gives you when it's almost sort of embossed, because you've got the tighter lines and you can see a bit of the wadding. So then you're just going to snip off all the starter and finish threads. I just tend to do this at the end really when I'm doing it quickly. You can do it as you go along, and then don't worry about the raw edge, because that's going to be within the seam allowance and nobody is going to see that. So do that for both sides. Let's see, cut along there a bit quicker. Okay, so that is the strap, which we'll be using in a second. Next thing to do is to get the big piece of fabric. Okay, so we've got the longer piece of fabric, and you just fold it right sides together. I'm just going to get the creases out of this one. So yeah, folding it in half, right sides together, and then give it a press if it needs it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the top end, and first of all we're going to fold the V opening. So to do this, you're just going to take your ruler, and if you measure 20 centimetres, actually let's do it 25 centimetres from the top, and then we're going to fold it in a little tapered V. So if you want, you can, it's just a rough sort of idea, 25. So the top end of this we're going to be turning over down to 2 inches, so you will actually have a V opening about that wide, which is fine. It's just to help you get the yoga mat in. So about 25, 26 from the top there, and then you just want to fold it in, and we're going to fold it over twice. So just let that little tail be tapered just slightly beyond the mark that you've made, and then press it. So I'm just going to press that once, and then we're going to fold it over and press it again, so that we've got a nice tapered, neat edge there. And then press that down. And then you want to flip it over, keeping this sort of tube shape, and use that side as a guide to do the same again on this side. So you're going to make sure that they start at the right point here. So just fold that fabric. It's got a little crease in there, which is making it not so easy to fold. So I'm just going to slightly iron that out. And then, oh, it's hot now, fold over the first one, like so, and then fold it over again so it lines up with the other side. And then you want to pin those, and we'll be sewing those individually, obviously not together, not closed, because we want them to open. So you'll be sewing from here all the way down to the little tapered bit, and same on the other side. And that's the first bit of sewing that we will do on this. this is the actual main bag bit. So if you take that to the sewing machine and sew along that edge, and likewise that one first. Just sewn those edges over. Now the next thing you need to do is just open out your bag again, and this time we're going to turn the top hem for the drawstring. So to do this, you'll need your iron again, and you just want to turn it over and about an inch, and then you want to press it just there. And then turn it over again, another inch, like so, and press it. So I love these illustrations on this fabric, all the detail and little mushrooms and the fox and the deer. So you want to pin that in place and just sew along the bottom edge, obviously leaving the sides open because that's where we're going to thread the drawstring through. So just pin and then a little line of stitches all the way along there, and that will be ready for the drawstring. Okay, so that's the top edge sewn. So now you can place your edges together again, the lovely V. So let's start it. Get rid of that. And if we start on this side, you can now just start to line up these edges again. But before we pin them, I'm just going to fold this one back and get the strap. So we're going to sew the strap on. So this is the top still, so put the pattern running the right way so the strap isn't upside down, and you're going to position it just below where you've done the tapering. So that will be roughly about 20 centimetres from the top. Okay. So you're going to place that inside the bag, just lining up the raw edges up here with that. So they'll be on a slight angle if it's tapered, so just push it up and keep it straight with the raw edges. And then you're going to fold the handle over, and then you're going to do the same fold to put the handle up here. Now when we're doing this bag, we need the handle to be closer to the top than to the bottom, because you want the weight of the bag to be slightly below the handle, and that just means that when it's on your shoulder it sort of swings the right way. It's not coming up by your head, it's actually quite nicely positioned on the body. So you've got that gap there. So you can put the strap to wherever you want it, really, depending how big you want that gap. But I've done it so it's roughly, I don't know, about 25 centimetres in the middle. Just it's wide, it's got to be long enough and wide enough for your arm to come through. So you can then peg that or pin it in place and just flatten the strap down whilst you bring over the top cover, and then you want to line up the bottom edges here. Now if the bottom of the bag isn't quite straight, you can just straighten that off either with a cutting mat or scissors, and just trim it so it's nice and even, so it's easier for you to sew. So I'll just get my cutting mat to do that, and then keep pegging. So this time peg all 3 layers. So you've got the bottom, the strap, and that one in there, and keep going. all the way up there until you reach where you've tapered it. Okay, now you're ready to sew. So secure it nice and tightly at the top. If you want, you can do a few stitches going back and forth this way. That will just protect the little V where the opening is. That will secure it a little bit more. So just under, make sure you've sewn all of the strap in. So just here, the other side of the strap, do a few little stitches there. And then all the way down and all the way along the bottom. And then we'll box the corners after that. Trimming those side edges now, so just cut them to about 1/2 centimetre, and then you can zigzag that side seam. Just careful when you're cutting over the handles, a bit thicker there, and then go back down the line. Zigzagging. And this one is one. So just trim the seams. We don't have to do the next step, but if you want your bottom of the bag to have a bit of a 3D shape, you just box the corners out. So to do that, we pull the corners apart, find the point, and just measure. I'm going to do 2.5 centimetres from that top point. I'm going to mark it. Let's see, 2.5 about there. And then you're just drawing a line across. And then you're going to just open that out. Give a little press. If you need to, you can snip the top there. And then you're going to sew along that and then trim it, and that will just box out those corners. So if you need little clips, keep that in place. Do it the same with the other corner. So you just pull it apart, just open the little seam, making sure those lines are level. You can open that seam there as well. Just makes it a bit neater when it's sewn if the seams are open. And then same on this side, from the top of the point, 2.5. And just hold that in place. Oops, throw my clips around. Gosh, it's so hot in here today. Okay, once you've done that, you can trim it off. So just take that to the sewing machine and sew those first. Okay, so I've just sewn the line across there, and you just snip off the corner and that one. And now you can tidy up with zigzags. So if you don't worry if you haven't sewn the seam open on both sides, because it appears I haven't done there either. So I won't zigzag the bottom one, but I'll just zigzag over these corners and then up the side. Okay, so I've just finished those seams off with zigzag, and now I'll just help it stop fraying in the wash. Now you're ready to turn the bag the right way round. So put your hand in, grab the corners, go it all the way through, and then you can just put your hand inside and push those corners out like so, and then get your strap sorted. To make it look nice, it's quite nice actually if you do press that seam before you turn it out. Otherwise, just if you've got an ironing ham, that's really handy to put under there. and then you're ready to put the drawstring in. So for this you need to get your piece of string and the little toggle that comes with it and a safety pin. So get the drawstring and safety pin, and you want to tie safety pin in like that. This will just fray if you try and actually pin it into it. So tie a knot and then thread it through. So you're going in the hoop, the little loop, and then just normal way, thread it all the way through, and then we can have our drawstring. So do that until it comes all the way around to the other side. So once you've threaded it all the way through, you can take the safety pin off. And get your little toggle, and then you just need to thread these through, making sure that they're going in the right holes. So I just tend to twist it into sort of point, push it through and then pull. So you're pressing that down to see the hole, and then you've got your drawstring ready. So you can either, up to you, can either do one big knot at the end there, but I quite like having the option of leaving them hanging down without the loop. So just pull it nice and tight so it won't come out of the toggle. Same with this one. Just push that knot up to the end, give a good tug, like so, and then it won't come off, but there's also no loop there. And there you have it. There is your lovely new yoga mat bag, all done, ready for you to take with you when you next go to your exercise class.